Hi, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. I'm going to take a break from everything I'm doing and we're going to go ahead and do Clue 10, which is the tail end of the cotton cuts. So there's 10. And if you're following along, what you should have gotten in your kit is 4 pieces of fabric that are 3.5 inch squared. You would have got your borders, which I have 2 strips. The 2 strips are 3.5 by 42.5. And then your binding is a 16 inch by the width of the fabric. So they have chosen the aqua colors. My squares are purple. Now I went ahead and I bought the backing, which is going to be this color here. So let me open that up to give you a better look. This is the one that's got all the purple on it. And whenever you buy backings or things like that that go with a kit that you've been going along with, they give you a little extra. So let me show you the fabric first, because I really like this purple. Now I'm making the small one in case y'all didn't know. Here's the purple fabric. Let me give you a, I don't have it on since I just got it out, but that's what it looks like. I love that color. And I'm actually keeping this one that I'm making because I like the purple and I like these batiks and I like all these colors. And then they gave me a flower pin, which is that there. It says felt's a project waiting to happen. So it's all out of felt. Let's take this out here. Let me show you the card here. Make sure y'all can see it. Okay, so let's get started because I've got to get all my pieces off of the wall. Okay, I'm back and I had a little bit of a meltdown because I could not find this here. Somehow I had it buried underneath something else. But anyway, in the meantime, I went through the entire sewing room, everywhere that I thought that I had put this aside because I couldn't find it and I thought maybe I hadn't done number 9, month 9. Well, anyway, in the process of all that, I dropped, unbeknownst to me, the barbell fell off of a box, well, a tub actually, hit my left foot. It touched every toe on that foot. So, of course, I've been crying. So if you hear a sniffle every now and then, I'm fine. I don't have a cold. It's just that every now and then it smarts because I find that when I walk, I kind of pull my toes in like I'm gripping the floor, which I never noticed it before, but apparently I do that. Anyway, just to let you know, nothing's broke. I put a little ice pack on. My granddaughter come up here real quick because I was crying and she was all concerned. But let's get started on this. So the first thing, if you're following along, even if you don't have these colors now, the directions are going to be the same if you have the actual Stratford, which is what this is. First thing that it says to do is we're going to join 1A to either side of section 9B. The 1A is this long strip here. And you should have 2 of them. So you'll have a square on each end and a rectangle. Then this is the one that I could not find, and I thought maybe I didn't do it. So I'm glad they started with number 9. But apparently my pen was in it just so that it looked like it was a 6, and then the little tag was upside down to boot. So it's like I couldn't find it anywhere. So I thought, well, maybe I didn't get it. So I was looking through all the drawers because my granddaughter got this same exact pattern. She did get hers, and ours came as a group since we're in the same household. So I knew I had it, I just couldn't find it. But it was here the whole entire time. Anyway, one sore foot later. Let's get started. We're going to put one on, you can either call it the top of this, or you can call it the left side, and this will be on the right side if that's what you want to do. And, oh, by the way, this might end up being in 2 videos to get this top put together. Now, before we sew it, I pin it, and I want to make sure that the seams match here. So you're going to nestle that. One of these seams should be going to the right, and one should be going to the left. And I've done both sides. That's why it looks like that. And I went ahead and I put purple thread in here to match. If your sewing machine needs to go ahead and be taken care of because you need to clean it out, then do it before this project. I'm doing 2.5 inch length, straight stitch, 12 inch needle, or 12 size needle, not 12 inch. That I'm using just like I always do, and I'm doing this at 1/4 inch And as I go along here, I have a whole bunch of pins, I think, in my pin cushion. I'm trying to eliminate if they're bent. So I got a little cup over here, little magnetic cup to put them all in. And then I keep them in a, before I dispose of them, I keep them in an old container that one of my feet came in for my serger. I'll show it to you here real quick. It is full of pins. It's got rotary blades because I put them all in here. It's super duper safe. I make sure I open it always over my trash can just in case. But just to give you an idea, this is what mine looks like. It's got lots and lots of pins. These are all bent. Got issues. They're dull. So that's what I do. Just collect them up. And once that's full, I leave it just like that. Put it in the trash. Recyclable. Whatever. We got a thing out at work to put pens in, so I just take it out there. I need to have my foot be automatic lift, so when I stop, I don't have to lift it. I do not have my knee raiser connected, but if you guys got one, you can have it connected to your machine. And then you just take your knee and move it over, and it'll raise your foot for you. I really do like this color. These colors are beautiful. I went ahead and I signed up for next year, but they're all out of my color. So unless they get my color, I won't be having it to do next year. They say they're going to get the color, but I think it said something like a medium chance they were going to reorder it. I don't know. I left an email, so if they get it, I'm going to be doing it because it was another really, really pretty one like this. And my granddaughter gave up on her. She did one and then she just got frustrated, and I think it's because I tried to tell her, because she still knew that she needed to go ahead and mark it with a pencil or a pen, and she just doesn't want to take the time. She has too much other stuff on her plate. So we've got it over here in a drawer. I told her that I would do it for her, but you know, that is going to be on a long list of things to do because I just have so many other things I need to get completed. Believe me, I have not forgotten about all the things I've got started, set aside. But we're going to concentrate on learning how to do this freehand embroidery with our machine so we can do that Christmas, I'm going to call it a lap quilt. I could actually call it a quilt. I'm short enough it'll work for a quilt for me. But anyway, the lap quilt for a good measure, because we're going to do it. So I want to show all the different ways that you can do freehand quilting. Also a straight stitch freehand as well as with your foot, so that you can choose whichever one you want to do, because you know you can change that. You can do partial freehand, and you can do partial with your regular foot or your walking foot if you've got a walking foot with your machine. Most machines come with them, but I know that if yours does not come with it, you can always purchase one to put on your machine. Now, probably not the super duper old ones, unless you go to, here's what your square should look like now. And the name of the company I was trying to think of was sewingpartsonline.com. They'll have feet that will fit your machine. You can call them directly or you can order online. 8A that we're going to attach to the one we just finished. You're going to put the right sides together, and then you're going to match up the seams here, and you're going to pin it. And I do opposites first. So I'm going to do this side, and I'm going to do this side, the pinning. Then when I sew it, I'll do the right side and the left side. All right, so I'm up here at the ironing board, and I want to show you what I'm doing. The first thing I'm going to do is I made sure that I could see the seam that's going through here, because this is the one where I'm going to mark it so that I don't go over the tip of it. So first I put a little dot on it so I can see it. Then I'll take my friction pin. You can use a pencil because you know this is the inside of the quilt, so you're not going to see it. Don't have to worry whether you got to iron it away or not. So make the mark on that. And now this is strictly guessing where to pin it. So let me put it over here, and I'm going to do this one first. This is the closer one. So when you flip it this direction, here is, which is going to be hard because of the two greens, but the seam meets right here. So what you're looking for is the middle of this here. Then you're looking for the middle of this. So what I do is I lay it up here first off, so I've got the distance of each fabric. All right, so that's all I'm doing. Now I'm going to fold it down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying to myself, I want to take this right here and I want it to line up. Well, I can look at it, just eyeballing it, it's to the left. Let me see if this is going to help you any. Because there it is, but this is over here to the right. See, you can't see the corner, but here is that. Here is the right-hand side of the bottom fabric, and you probably can't see it, but the seam is over here. So it is like 1/8 of an inch away. So what I want to do is I take my fabric, and all I'm going to do is just move it over a little bit. So I went over a little bit, brushed the whole thing to move it, flipped it back, looked at it, and went, I think that's right. Take it right up to the edge and put a pin in it. This does not have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, then you're going to need to go the other route, which is where you take your pin, you put it through your spot that you've marked, because you're trying to get the middle of this, and then you're going to try and get the 1/4 inch like this, just like this, and then pin it. Like that. So either way is going to work. I've been eyeballing them. So the only one that's really off, and it's slightly off, is this one. The other 3 are fine. But I'm not going to worry about it, because by the time I've got all that quilting done on this thing, because of the colors, you're not even going to see it. Nobody's going to be looking to see if every one of your intersections matched up on your quilt. And if they do and they say something, you can tell them this is an abstract. Therefore, nothing's supposed to match. The rest were a mistake. You got one right instead of one wrong and all the rest right. Let's go back over here, and then I'm going to sew these on. I came back here. On this corner, what you're looking for when you connect the two is you're looking for this, which is the little overhang, and it's going to actually match up to the edge of that fabric right there. And then pin it. And then I come back and I pin one more time between the intersection part and the corner, and I do it on the other side also. And if you want to just do these little intersections first when you sew, then make your length a little bit longer, so you could make it a 3. That's what I did when I did the first 2 sides as I was testing them. So I went ahead and made the length a 3, and I went over just the intersection part after I eyeballed it versus sticking the pin in it, because I did it both ways just to figure out which is the better. And really, it's neither one is the better or worse, and they can both be done the same way. You can do the same thing, and then if you have to take it out because you feel like it's way too off and that you'll be bugged by it, then you can take the seam out easier than the 2.5, because it'll have a longer stitch, and it's easier to take out a longer stitch than it is a shorter stitch. Match these up. There we go. Okay. I'm going to take a look at it to make sure I'm satisfied with it. And I am. They both turned out good. Flip it over and do the other side. And if you feel like you need to use a leader ender, you can. Remember, that's the little pieces of, or in my case, little 2.5 inch squares. Then I want to look at it again. Looks good. Looks good. All right, so now I'm going to put the iron to it. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to join sections 4, which are these. And we're going to join them to the 1B, which is this. We're going to make 4 sets. So you should have 4 of these. And then you should have 2 for every one of these. So you should have 8 of these and 4 of those. and we're going to sew them just like that. And there's no matching of any seams now because there's no seam here to be matching. So all you need to do is put it corner to corner and we're going to sew it together, right sides together. I'm going to go and pin on mine so I can chain stitch. They're all pinned here. And I went ahead and I marked every one of the spots. You can see a little bit of red right there. So that I make sure that I don't go over it, because some of these don't have a 1/4 of an inch. They're 1/8 of an inch, or they're between a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch. I don't want to have to worry about it. I put the mark just so I can be paying attention to the mark and I don't have to worry about it. For all those that are new and don't know what chain piecing is, you're just doing one strip after the other. You're not cutting your thread. I'm going to cut them all apart and I'm going to take them over to the ironing board and iron them all open. Then we'll take a look at them. You have 4 pinwheels like this, and you're going to put them on 2 sets of what you just completed, the strips. So let me go ahead and pin them so we can chain stitch them. Go ahead and chain stitch these. I went ahead and I marked them up here, and I'm going to go ahead and go through my mark first, because I want to double mark it since my seam is not that wide. And that's usually what I do if I don't feel like my seam's wide enough, or I want to do that. And that's what I end up doing. Just to be on the safe side, I don't want that to come apart. And that's just me. Instead of decreasing my length size, which is another thing that you could do, that would work also, but I don't really want to decrease it. Those holes would be awful small. Uh-oh. Alright. I'm going to need a leader ender because that just gobbled that up for some reason. And I don't know why it did, but oh my goodness, it did. Let's see here if I can get that out. And this is a regular, but it bunched it and made it really tight. Here we go. Let's see. Can I get it? Nope. It's turning into a knot, so that's not going to help me at all. No pun intended. Alright, let's see here. Can I get it out this way? Goodness. My seam ripper is almost too big. There we go. Huh, I don't know what happened there, but that was a mess. Let me get a leader ender out here. Let's just go with that. Let's see here. Whoops. Darn, wrong button here. Let's start right there. Pull that over that here. This is long enough we can go to the other end of that. Now on two of my pieces, which are on the other side, I actually had to sew them open when I did them, back when I put the thing together, because of the bulk that was in the middle. And if you've got to do that with yours, that's fine. There's no problem there. Sometimes you have to and sometimes you don't. Lots of people like to do it all the time. When I first started sewing, everything was open the seam, open the seam. It was never going on one side or the other. Now they've totally changed it. I think it just has to do a lot with your preference. Yeah, I'm going to go right through that middle there. Alright, let's go. Let me get these ironed open. Now you're going to take the pieces that don't have the pinwheels on the corners. Remember we made 4 like this, and then we put pinwheels on 2 of them? Now you're going to take the 2 that don't have them, we're going to put them on each end, opposite ends, of the very first piece we put together. So go back to that first piece and put these on each end. And all I did was pinned them and marked them, just like before, same thing. Go all the way down the intersection, pin it, mark it, and then we'll chain stitch this. Alrighty, let's go ahead and put this on. I marked it, got it all pinned. I guess I better get a leader ender because I'm not having too much luck today. Oops, forgot my pin cushion. There we go. And as you can see up here on this square coming up, I didn't get that squared up, but that's okay because I can still work with it. I don't have a problem there. I'm just following the top piece of the fabric, not the bottom piece. This is starting to get a lot bigger. Oops. Okay, it's too thick, so let's give a little help there. There you go. See if I can get this started here. I think I can. I can clip that end. Alright, I'm going to take it up there and iron it. For the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take the piece that we made, the strip, with the pinwheel, and then we're going to attach it to the one that we just did. Now keep in mind that they actually have this pinwheel put on here a certain direction. So you had to have attached this correct before you put it on here. If you were not paying attention, based on my pattern now, this right hand side, the light color was at the bottom. I was looking at the outer square, so the light was at the bottom and the darker one was on the top. and then it went to this. This was the beginning of that strip, remember? So now this corner where it has a light on the top and the darker color on the left go at the top of this strip here. Then on this one here, the light is at the bottom instead of the dark, and the dark is at the top. That's the way mine goes on. So that's what you need to be paying attention to if you're wanting to make it identical to what they're showing you. Otherwise, you can change it up and make it another way. So let me go ahead and get both sides pinned so we can get this sewn. Now, see where the mark is on that? I'm going to show you the other side. So that's where the intersection is. Now, the way to make sure that you don't go over it here is I double checked it. So I took my ruler. The fabric wants to cooperate with me here. And I measured from the center right there down. So if you see, it is the third mark from the end. And then I flipped it over and I took my ruler and went like this. And the third mark from the end is actually way down here. But when I look at my fabric, I see the two pieces crossing up here. So that's where I'm going to do it. I'm not going to come way down here and do it. I'm going to do it up there. And I'll do my test over that first. So I'm just going to put it in the machine and go across that first and then flip it to look at it. If it looks like I can go lower, then I'll go lower. If not, I'm not going to go any lower because I don't want to be chopping this edge off. Better to have a little bit on than nothing if I've got a choice between the two. So the very first thing I did was I went ahead and I increased my stitch length to 4 because if I have to pull this out, I'd rather pull out a long stitch length than a short stitch length. So let's go over the bump here. Oops, and it does not want to go over the bump. So it's a lot of fabric. All right, now let's take a look at it. And I can go down a little further on that. So now probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. Because now, keep in mind, it's already almost base stitch, you could call it. So while I'm on this side, which I flipped it over, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew it. Because I can see right where it can go. My foot down. And I'm going to go right here on the edge. And do let me go take it 2.5. And then I'm going to slowly stitch. And I'm going to stop. Now, of course, I don't need to be taking out the other stitch and then just turn it back over and then start at the end and sew it. This is one of those open seams I was talking to you about where I had to open it and iron it. And I'm going right back over the same stitching that I did before. All right, let me get it ironed. Alrighty, so this thing right here is phase 1. And when we come back, we're going to start phase 2. I'm going to see how long this video is, and if it's too long, then I'm going to break it into 2 parts. So we'll be back here shortly.